That Cumann was founded as an organisation in the way it was not a foregone conclusion. The records seem to indicate that there was some discussion about what they might be, and it's quite likely that some women who were involved wanted them to actually be part of the volunteers and perhaps even have a role on the executive. I think what had happened was that a group of women had been thinking very hard about a women's section of the volunteers. We know this because there's a letter to Patrick Pearce from a woman called Cissy Doyle, and he replies at the end of 1913 saying, we are thinking about this, the committee's thinking about this, we're not sure what women should do, but we think they should do something. And he has a very strange sort of mixed message where he says, I think they should do ambulance and Red Cross work. I think they should also have a rifle club, but I don't like to see women acting militarily. So straight away you have this strange kind of difficulty for the women who have to kind of conform to traditional roles in some ways, but also know at the same time that being involved in a militia, even as auxiliaries, is not traditional by any standards. Why they didn't pursue that, we don't know, but it might well be because they knew that they'd be rejected and it would have been embarrassing. In the end, they come together in this public meeting, and the meeting suggests that enough planning has gone on beforehand, that it's not spontaneous. We know that work has been put into setting this up. There were some complaints from women who thought that it was, because it was a meeting during the day, there were some complaints from women saying, well, what are working women supposed to do? We can't get there in time, which is an interesting indication perhaps of some of the class allegiances. Although having said that, most of the women who were prominent, certainly about whom we know, were definitely middle class. The first committee is very interesting. It's mainly composed of women who are well-known activists in the advanced political movement, so in Sinn Féin. Some of them have been involved in Inina Heron and other organisations, the Gaelic League, of course, and various others. But the woman who's set up as the leader of this first committee, who speaks most prominently at WINS, is Agnes O'Farrelly, who is very prominent in the Gaelic League, a Gaelic scholar, and most certainly not a separatist. She's a very strong supporter of the Irish Parliamentary Party. So I think the fact that she's chosen to head this organisation and to become its first spokeswoman suggests that a lot of time has been put into thinking about how best to present a very broad nationalist appeal to women. And I think this is very self-consciously done. And at the very first meeting, there's quite a lot of discussion about whether or not this organisation of women would be pro-Irish Parliamentary Party or anti-Irish Parliamentary Party, because obviously these ideas are already swirling around in the volunteers. Agnes O'Farrelly makes the point very clearly that this is a non-party organisation. It will not support any nationalist faction. It is simply there to protect Ireland, just as the volunteers are. So this one little meeting, you can see so many dynamics going on between advanced nationalism, constitutional nationalism. There's also some commentary there by Hannah Skeffington, who's concerned that Cumann will become what she later describes them as slave women. She's worried about their inferior auxiliary status. So this one little meeting, you have so many elements of Irish politics clashing, and that's why it's really quite a fascinating one to look at.